Imagine driving up a mountain road, thinking you're heading into peace, only to find someone waiting to strip it away. Devin Randall came to the Blue Ridge Mountains to reconnect with his roots, to honor the cabin his grandfather built with bare hands. But the silence he craved shattered the moment a stranger appeared, polished shoes in the dirt, clipboard in hand, eyes filled with entitlement. Within minutes, what began as a quiet weekend became a confrontation over legacy, race, and truth. Because sometimes the real trespasser isn't the one on the land, it's the one who believes they own the mountain. But first, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and comment below from which city you are watching this video. The gravel road curved through the Blue Ridge Mountains, each turn pulling Devin Randall closer to a past that refused to fade. At 44, he wasn't returning for a getaway, he was reclaiming a piece of his family's soul. The cabin had stood here for over 60 years, its hand-cut logs weathered but proud, a monument to 3 generations of hard work and quiet dignity. His grandfather had built it from raw timber, his father had kept it alive. Now it was Devin's turn. He parked his old Ford pickup in the clearing and stepped out into a silence so deep it almost hummed. The air smelled like pine and memory. Inside, the cabin still carried the faint scent of his father's pipe, a whisper of the man who taught him patience and pride. On the mantel, carved initials told their story, a father and son side by side through decades. Devin unpacked slowly, a sleeping bag, a cooler, a few tools, and a photo album filled with black and white faces smiling against this same mountain backdrop. He had come here to fix what time had weathered, to remind himself that some roots run deeper than city life could ever reach. As the sun sank, he built a fire outside, the crackle and warmth settling his heart. Flames flickered against the cabin's worn wood while he sat in a camp chair, watching sparks dance up into the dusk. For the first time in months, he felt peace, the kind that comes only from standing on ground that belongs to you. But peace doesn't last long when someone else believes they own it. Somewhere down the mountain, tires began to crunch against gravel, the kind of sound that turns stillness into warning. Devin looked up, unaware that his family's history was about to be challenged by a woman who believed power meant possession. The quiet broke with the hum of a silver SUV crawling up the lane, headlights sweeping across the clearing. Devin straightened, expecting maybe a lost traveler or an old neighbor. But when the car stopped and the door swung open, he knew this wasn't a friendly visit. Out stepped a woman dressed like she'd taken a wrong turn leaving a board meeting. Crisp blouse, slacks pressed razor sharp, and a leather-bound notebook hugged to her chest like a badge. Her eyes swept over Devin, the cabin, even the cooler by his chair, before she spoke words that cut through the air like frost. "You can't be here." Her name was Margot Finley, president of the Ridgeway Estates Homeowners Association. She said it with the kind of authority that came from paperwork and self-importance, not truth. Devin explained calmly that this was his family's cabin, built decades before Ridgeway Estates even existed. But Margot's expression never softened. She didn't see a man honoring his legacy. She saw someone who didn't fit her image of who belonged on this ridge. Her words sharpened, circling the same accusation again and again, that he was a trespasser, that his cabin was non-compliant, that she oversaw this entire mountain. Devin kept his patience, remembering his father's voice, "Don't fight fire with fire." But Margot's tone carried something heavier than rules. It carried the weight of prejudice, barely disguised behind formal language. "People like you don't own property up here," she said. The words landed like stones. Devin stood his ground, steady and unshaken. He told her he had the deed, the tax records, photographs of his father and grandfather, proof carved in time. But Margot didn't want proof. She wanted control. Her face tightened, notebook snapping shut as she hissed, "Fine. If you won't leave willingly, I'll handle it myself." She stormed back to her SUV, phone already at her ear. Devin didn't need to hear the details to know what came next. Within minutes, the peace he had sought turned into the kind of confrontation he thought belonged to another era, one where a false accusation could rewrite truth in real time. She stayed parked there, headlights aimed at him, scribbling notes like a self-appointed investigator. The tension was suffocating. Devin sat by his dying fire, flipping through his photo album, faces of his family staring back at him, as if reminding him who he was. Each picture was proof that his roots went deeper than Margot's paperwork ever could. Then her voice pierced the air again, loud enough for the mountain to hear. "Yes, officer, I need someone out here right away. There's a man trespassing on private property. He's refusing to leave, and I don't feel safe." Devin froze. she was turning the story upside down, painting him as a threat on his own land. The lie was deliberate, not about property anymore, but about perception. He gathered his papers, the deed, the receipts, the photos, setting them neatly on the porch table. If deputies were coming, they'd find him ready. But no matter how calm he tried to stay, the air had changed. He could feel it, the old weight of suspicion that followed men like him into every argument, every misunderstanding. And as dusk deepened around the cabin, the sound of approaching engines confirmed it, flashing lights bouncing off the trees, growing brighter with every turn. Margot had made her call, and now the law was on its way to decide who really belonged on this mountain. The red and blue lights flashed across the clearing, painting the cabin and trees in pulsing color. 2 sheriff's SUVs rolled to a stop, their tires crunching against the gravel. Margot leapt from her vehicle, waving her arms like a victim summoning rescue. "There he is. That's the man I told you about," she shouted, pointing toward Devin. Devin didn't move. He stood still beside the fire pit, folder of documents tucked under his arm. His heart pounded, but his face stayed calm. The older deputy stepped forward, voice steady. "Ma'am, calm down. We'll sort this out." Then he turned to Devin. "Sir, can you tell us what's going on?" Before he could speak, Margot's voice cut in again, fast and furious. "He broke into that cabin. It's not approved. It violates every building code. He's trespassing, intimidating me. I want him removed immediately." The deputies exchanged glances. Devin stepped forward, offering the folder. "Deputy, my name is Devin Randall. This is my family's cabin. It was built by my father in the 1950s. I've got the deed, tax records, everything you need right here." The older deputy flipped through the papers carefully. Each rustle of the pages echoed through the clearing. He passed one to the younger deputy, who studied it under the flashing lights. "Ma'am," the younger one said, "these documents look legitimate. County stamps, tax receipts, everything checks out." Margot's voice cracked, shrill and desperate. "You can't believe that. People like him don't own cabins up here." The words hung heavy in the night. The deputy's expressions hardened. Devin's voice came low but firm. "I came here to remember my father, not to prove I belong." The older deputy sighed, closing the folder. "Ma'am, unless you have evidence that contradicts this, there's no violation. Mr. Randall has every right to be here." Margot's fury twisted into something uglier. "So that's it. You're siding with him." Devin met her eyes. No one siding with anyone, just with the truth. For a long moment, the clearing went silent, fire crackling, stars emerging overhead. The power she wielded so freely moments ago slipped through her hands. And for the first time, Margot's voice faltered. The deputies stood between them, calm, resolute, unshaken. Margot's voice cracked as she tried to recover her authority, but was too late. The truth was laid bare in the glow of flashing lights and firelight. Her words lost their power, while Devin's quiet dignity filled the space her noise had claimed. Neighbors began to arrive, headlights glinting through the trees. Curiosity carried them into the clearing until a small crowd formed, familiar faces, all waiting for someone to tell them what to think. Margot seized her moment shouting, "He's trespassing. He's lying." But the deputies didn't move. They'd already seen the truth written in ink and history. When they confirmed that the land was indeed Devin's, a ripple of unease spread through the group. Some turned to Margot in disbelief. Others whispered that they'd suspected this all along, that she had overstepped one time too many. One neighbor, Colleen, spoke softly but clearly. "That cabin's been here longer than any of us. Maybe it's time we remember that." Margot's face hardened, her defiance cracking into bitterness. "This isn't over," she spat, climbing back into her SUV. Her headlights blazed for one last defiant moment before disappearing down the gravel road. As the crowd dispersed and the deputies offered their parting words, Devin stood by the dying fire, the folder still pressed to his chest. The mountain was silent again, but it wasn't the same silence as before. It was heavier, wiser, the kind that follows truth after it's been tested. He carried the documents back inside, setting them beside the carvings he and his father had etched into the mantel decades earlier, proof of legacy, side by side with proof of ownership. His father's voice echoed in memory, "Never let anyone take from you what you know is yours." Outside, the stars stretched across the mountain sky, calm and eternal. Devin exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of generations settle into him like roots. Because legacy isn't just land. It's patience. It's dignity. It's truth that outlasts arrogance. And for every person told they don't belong, Devon's story whispers back, stand your ground with grace. The truth is heavier than any lie they can throw at you.